Hello and happy Friday. I hope you all have had a good week, and I hope that you will have a good weekend. Just want to talk a little bit about Chapter 5, especially today. But real quick, wanted to remind you all that the Chapter 4 assignment, I did extend that until this Sunday, so that would be the 2nd. And I will have the MindTap scores for Chapters 3 and 4 loaded here. Hopefully, well, 3 today, I'm struggling with that because it's just as easy to pull Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 together. But if I don't get Chapter 3 out there for you today, then I'll have 3 and 4 for you on Monday, okay? Also, I wanted to check in with y'all as far as your marketing plan for the term project. I hope that you are talking with your group members. I'm hoping that by this point you have an idea of the product concept or the new product line or the new product idea that you would like for Kellogg to promote, that you would be writing your plan around. So it's a pretty big first step, and once you get that set, then it's a little easier to chunk out the next tasks. So be talking with your group if you haven't been, and try to knock that part out. All right, so let's look at Chapter 5, and then we'll talk about the assignment for Chapter 5 a little bit. Chapter 5 is all about market research and information systems. And so the big thing about market research and market data is that really any company has to have good data in order to make decisions. As it happens, this is where I've spent the bulk of my career in the private sector, dealing with data, helping companies get systems put together that do a good job of delivering the data to them that they need so they can make decisions. Very, very important. And an angle to the whole marketing field as far as career opportunities that's not geared really towards selling as much. It's more geared toward understanding systems and how to leverage systems to give you the information that you need. So you can categorize research into two major buckets: exploratory or conclusive. So exploratory is more geared toward exploring. You might call that intuitive, but really you don't necessarily know what you need to know, and so you're just starting to look. And I've got a fly here that's going to drive me crazy. All right, so versus conclusive, in this case, you really are looking to make a decision of some kind, and you need information to guide that decision. So under this category, you can have two additional buckets pop up. So you may go to a descriptive sort of a conclusion that you're trying to reach, or you may be looking for an experimental sort of a conclusion. So under the descriptive category here, you're really looking to, as you might think, describe something. So what does your market look like in Cincinnati, and as far as demographics? Where do people shop? Those would be conclusive findings, but they're more to describe something, versus an experimental sort of a conclusion, which is where you're looking for causality. So what causes consumers to purchase something, smaller boxes of product versus bigger boxes, or what is driving the I'm trying to think of a good example. What is causing the market's move to RF technology, something like that. So in any case, you're looking to make a causal, what is causing something else, okay? So that's experimental sort of a conclusion. I rambled. I'm sorry. Okay. So there's quite a bit of Chapter 5 that's spent to defining or describing the research process. And there's 5 steps, and you should know what they are. So first of all, you are going to identify your issue or your problem. And really all market research is purposed to either understand an opportunity in the market or to understand something about the environment that's changing. So somewhere in there you'll figure out with your market research design what it is you're trying to find out. And then the next step is really to design your project. So come up with a hypothesis. What do you think is going on? and then come up with a research design that's going to help you figure that out or answer your hypothetical question or address your hypothesis. Okay, so then after you've got your research design laid out, you will go about gathering your data. Now, when you gather your data, you're either gathering secondary data or primary data, but you will have planned that out in the prior step, designing the project, okay? So your book is talking a lot in this section, gathering data section, about the different types of research designs, but really you'll figure out what your research design is up in section B here, not in C, okay? So as far as C goes, excuse me, at this point you really are just going out and collecting your data. So primary data is where you collect it yourself. You define a sample, which is a segment of the population that you're interested in. So for example, if you want to know what mothers of toddlers think about cereal products, all mothers of toddlers is your population, but you can't possibly talk to all of them. I'm going to kill this fly. Okay, so you can't possibly talk to all of them, so you're going to have to take a sample or collect input from a smaller, much smaller group of mothers of toddlers than would be your entire population. And so there's different methods that the book talks about for different types of samples that you can collect. And so depending on what you have available to you, depending on your research design, what you need to find out, some choices for samples are better than others. Okay. The book talks a lot about methods for different types of collections of data. I'm not saying that very well, but you can collect data in a lot of different ways. You can do a mailed survey, you can do a phone interview, you can go to the mall and observe people. You can do interviews in person, door to door, at a mall. Lots of different methods, and the book talks about a number of them. So again, you would plan that out in step B, but in step C, gathering the data, then you actually go about collecting your data. All right, secondary data, on the other hand, is data that you're not collecting yourself. You're relying on information that you can access. So either it's internal to your company, sales records, customer service, questionnaire data that you might have, that sort of thing, or industry data. You can go to trade shows. I guess there you might, if you actually went to the trade show and talked to people, you're collecting your own data. But if you're looking at industry data that somebody else has published, that would be considered secondary data. So in my day, back 20 years ago, I was actually looking in industry catalogs or industry magazines, looking at competitor data that way, calling competitor companies on the phone and collecting data from them, going to trade shows and looking around at different products, talking to different salespeople, talking to people on the phone, different customers on the phone, all different kinds of ways. Some of those that I've just talked about there would be using secondary data versus primary data. But anyway, anymore you can get on the internet and get to a whole lot of secondary data that it's just so much easier anymore to go about collecting information via secondary data than it used to be back in the olden days. All right, so once you've got your data, now you need to figure out what you got. So first step generally is tabulating your data, and then you're going to analyze it statistically, looking for important variations in the responses and that sort of thing. And then finally, you'll report your findings. So usually that's in some form of a written report. If you end up working in the marketing field, you will oftentimes be presenting your data to a board or executive management. Get to know PowerPoint, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's the process, 5 steps. And can't remember what comes next here. Let's see. Oh, the chapter spends a fair amount of time too on different ways to leverage technology for market research. MIS systems, these are systems that are delivering data to people in a company that will use that data. They're monitoring information basically. So In my world, we would have a dashboard system that would deliver to managers every day. Sales by geographic region in the country, sales by different sales representatives. And so you'd get those dashboards every day. It would just give you information that you needed to do your job, basically to identify if there's an issue somewhere that you need to be dealing with, that kind of thing. A database, on the other hand, it's different. This is a structured way of collecting and keeping your data. So an Excel spreadsheet would be an example of a database. A CRM system is another example. This is a system, companies almost can't live without these anymore. It's a system that keeps track of all your customers, their purchases, what industry they're in, how many employees they have, how you reach them. You can use that data to do coordinated mailings, ad campaigns, that kind of thing. And so that's just an example of a database system that's used a lot in business. Big data, this is a process of analyzing huge amounts of data that may come from your own internal structured databases, may come from industry sources on the internet. Trying to think where else. Just Facebook data, searches on the internet that people might do that big data analysis techniques could get a hold of. Massive amounts of data, and it's looking for trends, consumer purchasing behavior sorts of things. You can get a lot of information from big data analysis. It's pretty complicated, and so chapter talks about that a little bit. And then finally, an MDSS sort of a system is a little more geared toward actually helping you make decisions. So you can pose a system what if sorts of questions. If I do this, what will happen then? If I change my pricing to this on this product in this product category in this industry, what will that potentially do to my share in the market against competitors and that sort of thing? So that would be more of a MDSS sort of a system. All right, so finally the chapter talks about ethical considerations and international considerations with respect to market research. As you might expect, with respect to ethical issues, we're dealing a lot with privacy when you talk about market research. So that's the biggest one that's covered in the chapter. Anytime you're tapping people's information, their personal information, that is a big one to be concerned with. And so because of that, you'll see companies and industries, and even like the American Marketing Association, coming up with standards of conduct. So what's appropriate and what's not. And so as you delve more into unknown territory, you kind of have to set the rules and set the boundaries. And so that is going on still. And then finally, with respect to international marketing research, of course, different markets in different countries are different than we would expect here in the United States. Different cultures, different regulations and laws, different political environment. So the chapter talks a little bit about just steps that are a little different for approaching an international market research effort. Okay, so that's all I want to say about Chapter 5. That was pretty quick. Let's talk just briefly about the Chapter 5 assignment. Before we do that, here are some definitions that popped out at me and some concepts that popped out at me that you should be able to understand. I guess that's all I want to say about that. All right, getting to the assignment. So for the Chapter 5 assignment, you'll watch the Age Lab video. I tried to put it in Blackboard. It didn't work very well. So if you can't work with my link in Blackboard, just go get the video out of MindTap. It's in there for you. And then I wanted to just point out with this assignment that different questions here are worth different amounts of points. And the reason for that is because some of these really, I'm okay just getting your opinion. Why do you think baby boomers are a lucrative market? How have stores used this market research that was discussed in the video to appeal to baby boomers? Tell me what you think there. But for the parts that are leveraging information from the chapter, I'm making those worth more because I really want to see you apply concepts and terms from the chapter point, ending that way. And then I guess that's it for the week. Let me know if you have questions, and Hope you all have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.